What is up, people? Dunna here, and today we're at Whistler Blackcomb. I'm testing out the brand new Sony A7RV, and I want to talk to you about 5 new features that are in this camera that you should be excited about regardless of whether you're planning on buying it or not. But first, it's getting a little bit cold. Do you mind holding this for a second here for me? Thanks. You're welcome. So let's get into the 5 features from this camera. So right now you might be asking, why would I be interested in the Sony A7RV or the features that it has if it's not a camera that actually makes sense for me to buy? And the reason comes down to the way that Sony usually makes its cameras. Oftentimes when we see Sony put out new features in a new camera, we'll later see those features trickle down into the other models. And right now we're seeing new features in the A7RV that we'll probably see in the A7 IV when it comes out. That's why I'm so excited about some of these new features. And kicking things off with the first one, it's the flip screen. I know a lot of people that were super excited when we got the flip screen in the A7S III, but there were also some people who didn't like that they couldn't tilt it up and down easily like in the previous models. In the A7RV screen, not only have they made the best looking screen that they ever have, they've also made it so that you can tilt it up and down as well as have that full swivel, so there's pretty much no position that you can't get this thing into. And the other great part about it is that they've managed to do it without making it too bulky. I've seen other camera manufacturers make similar screens in the past, but usually it adds a huge amount of bulk to the back of the camera.
Why you calling at 11:30 when you only wanna do me dirty? But I hit right back 'cause you got that, yeah. Why you always wanna act like lovers, but you never wanna be each other's? I say don't look back, but I go right back.
The next exciting new feature on the A7RV is the fact that it has its own separate AI processor for the autofocus features.
You turn me.
This processor is separate from the main processor in the camera that used to do everything. Now, I don't necessarily expect them to start putting dual processors in all their cameras, but it will be nice to see where this does get implemented and what it can do as far as taking the load off of the main processor, so what else the main processor will be able to do, and what else we can do with that separate processor, maybe going beyond just the autofocus features. Now, speaking of that AI processor for the autofocus functions, we've got a whole host of new things that we can do with autofocus.
This is why I don't leave the house.
They've added options as far as what things we can track with the autofocus. So before we had human, bird, and animal, but now we've got human, a bird and animal option, bird or animal separately, trains and cars, as well as airplanes and insects. But on top of that, we've got the ability to track these things in a way more complicated and awesome way. You've got body, head, and eye autofocus in both photo and video. The cool thing about this is that it can actually determine the shape of a human body and then know where the body is, then determine where the head is from there, and then the eye from there. So it doesn't actually even have to be able to see the eye to get eye autofocus. So for example, if someone's wearing a helmet or has a mask on, that used to always be a big problem because it was looking for the whole face. Now it just knows there's a human there, this is where the head should be, and this is where the eye should be. As well as if you're turning away or becoming obscured, it can still figure out where you're supposed to be focusing. And in my experience so far, this actually works really well. This is something called human pose estimation, and again, it's all because of that separate processor that we've got. But beyond that, it can do similar things with all of those other different functions that I talked about before in animals, birds, and so on and so forth. It figures out where the body is, it figures out where the head is, and then it figures out where the eye is, with the exception of the cars and the trains, I guess, because they don't have those things. Okay, hold on 1 second here. So far in this video, I've heard Jet, Skrillex, Charlie Puth, Paramore, and now Sam Smith?
Yeah?
Well, how? This is YouTube. You're not supposed to be able to use mainstream music without getting demonetized.
Oh, okay, I see what you're getting at. No, I used Licked to get all the music for this episode, so it's all good.
Tell me more.
Licked is a music licensing platform with an absolutely massive catalog for creators. Not only do you get access to their 100,000 stock tracks for pretty much any situation, but you can also license any of their 1.1 million mainstream tracks from artists like Bruno Mars, Lizzo, Charlie Puth, The Offspring, Sean Paul. It's pretty ridiculous how many they have.
Yeah, I can see that.
The Licht site has useful search functions like being able to order things by their popularity on YouTube or Spotify, and filters for things like mood, genre, tempo, even what platform you're going to be posting to. And on top of that, they've got hundreds of curated playlists to make things easier. That is too cool. I love the idea of hearing music that I actually know in people's videos on YouTube. Totally, using popular music in your videos can increase engagement and positive sentiment, and you get to keep all of your ad revenue. Do you have a link or anything so that I can go try it? Of course, yeah. If you sign up for Licht with the link down in the description, you'll get a 14-day free trial and 50% off of your first mainstream chart track. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. Thank Licht for sponsoring this video.
The next super exciting feature that we see in the A7RV is the brand new in-body stabilization. But I'm getting kind of tired. Hey, fella that you held the camera earlier, can you come here for a sec? Would you mind doing this segment for me? Thanks. I'll be back. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes all I think about is you.
So we have 8 stops of stabilization now in body, better than what we had before, which was 5 stops. This is good for both photo and video for slower shutter speeds, which means you can use slower lenses as well. If you have an f4, you don't have an f2.8, it might come in more handy for you. Dunna's got some shots here he's going to show you on the screen, but it really shows you how using this stabilization in the A7RV, it's almost like tripod level when you come to use it handheld, which can be super beneficial for weddings. Instead of having to put it on a gimbal, instead of having to put it on a tripod, you can maybe get a locked off style shot just by handheld, which means it's more flexible to move around easier. Basically, if you're a photographer and a videographer, this is something you should be excited about because it makes it easier to use your camera in a variety of different ways. I think that's all I got. Will that do?
That was great.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, I'm gonna see you later.
Okay, see ya. Thanks.
I'm a girl, Chanda Paul say, well, I'm on the way, the time cold, I wanna be keeping you warm. I got the right temperature for shelter you from the storm. Oh.
And the last feature in the A7RV that I think you should be excited about is the focus stacking feature.
But you can be the mom,
If you do any landscape or macro photography, focus stacking is probably something that you've heard of and maybe even have had to do manually in the past. This focus stacking feature allows you to focus on something in the foreground and it will automatically take a bunch of shots at different focus intervals throughout the focusing range. Basically what that means is if you combine those photos, you can get one big photo where everything is in focus. This can be a really cool look and it can open up some opportunities in situations where maybe you can't stop down to F11 or F16 to try and get more in focus. So those are the 5 new features in the A7RV that I think you should be excited about, even if you're not going to buy the A7RV. But let me know down in the comments if you have any other features of the A7RV that you're excited about. And on your way down there, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on future videos. Huge thanks to that random guy that was walking around that helped me make the video, and I'll see you next time.
So why don't you